Hello. It's exciting to be back. Well, not so excited to be looking at you on my screen, but listening to my headphones. It's nice.
Yeah, I feel the same way. There's the last 12 months has been busy.
Yeah.
Busy. So, you've had your vehicle how long? And I'm not talking about the fit.
Love the fit. It was a year in February.
Okay.
Whatever that is, a year and
a bit. All right. What's your biggest like? What's your biggest dislike?
I'll start with the dislike. It could be so simple as to say the ADAS, but we know that's going to get fixed. So I won't say that. But what I will say is basically the bings and bongs still bother me. For example, I got the low fuel warning. Now I park in the driveway, but I'm in the garage door opens. I hit the unlock button, and from 10 feet away, I heard it go bong, knowing it was the low fuel bong.
With the door closed.
The truck was closed up. Yes, no windows open. So that stuff is a bit, I'm not a fan of, but that's fixable stuff.
It's just letting you know before you get in and drive. So it's saving you time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to look at the fuel gauge because you know that there's 3/4 of a tank left.
Gun to my head kind of answer, it would be the HVAC system. I mean, in all honesty, not kidding around, not being silly. I don't understand it. I don't understand how something so basic in concept they got wrong. The vehicle I had before this was a 2018, 2019, 2020, something like that, GMC Sierra. System was great, just hit auto, it did its thing. Oh, before that I had a 92 Land Cruiser. That worked great. Before that, I had a Raptor auto, worked great. Before that, I had a different F-150, worked great. The setup in the Subaru works great. And the setup in the Fit works great.
Yeah.
The one in my truck, not so much. Like in the spring, when it was like cold but warm, you get all that condensation. It was just crazy how well it didn't work.
Almost by design.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Maybe Sir Jim put that in as a line item and said, look, we've made this fabulous truck, but we've got to make it a bit more uncomfortable. That's why we're not going to do a heated steering wheel. So when it's cold, you can have your fingers freeze off and the HVAC. One thing I will say about the HVAC is you need a 9-year-old kid like I have because he goes in there and manages to get that thing to sing. He's like, he's straight in there with the heated seats on and all the rest of it on the school run. As you can probably guess, I daily mine 14,000 miles and most of it's city driving in LA, which I don't think it was really made for that, but it does it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've no problems. The hook that I've got in the winch, that sets off the proxy sensors for the parking when you're going pretty slow, and that's a bit of an annoyance, but that's just the wire unspooling slightly. So I've got to reset that every now and again. And I put a massive specialized hook on it as well, which doesn't help.
Did you put a factor 55 on?
Yeah, but I got the hook that combines with everything. So it's the everything source hook, not just the thimble.
Yeah.
So the biggest dislike, I've got 3 things that get to me. Vanity mirrors, just.
I mean, wait, you have vanity mirrors?
No, that's the point.
So how could they bother you?
Just vanity mirrors. And every time my mother gets in, she looks and goes, "Where's the mirror in this thing? How much was it?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Okay, thanks, Mum. It's just going to be what it's going to be." I mean, I tell her to just use your phone now.
Yeah,
there's a camera on the front.
Easily remedied for like $4.
Yeah, but it looks hacky. I like OEM stuff. I don't like I'm not a big fan of the things being Velcroed on. So the next thing is there's no dumb key for this car.
Yeah.
It's a rugged, no nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Great. And then you give me an electronic key.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't surf, but I go paddleboarding and stuff. And I've got to take a specialized Ziploc bag thing so it doesn't get trashed. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that he could fall in the water with a key and it'll be all right, but I don't want to take that chance.
Okay, so the clicker might not work if it were to get wet.
But that's what I'm saying. Just give me a mid-90s Nissan key, right?
I know what you want.
That's all I want. I just want a key that opens the barrel on the lock and then starts the vehicle. But and while you're at it, just have Yeah, but I want one that I'm not scared of breaking because we know they're in charge $500.
It's because it has a key blade on it.
Yeah, you know, of course it is. Otherwise, you can't start the vehicle.
Right. So
I just want the Mac one
yes, I know
Ford
what
OS 95 key,
yes.
right? And while they're at it, give me a barrel for the passenger side door and for the rear door as well.
Yes and yes and yes. I'm with you on all those.
But the absolute that's just more like an annoying niggle that I wish they would do that because it's low hanging fruit and it absolutely complements the whole idea of the vehicle. Turning circle.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, driving in the city.
Yeah.
I'm getting much better now at swinging into parking spaces. But the big problem is, and this isn't really a problem in Europe because they're generally illegal, is U-turns. So when you do a U-turn, is like, but sometimes it's 3-point, or I just go over the pavement.
Yeah, we don't have, well, at least where I'm at, but the majority of New Jersey does not do the U-turn thing.
Oh, it's everywhere here, and I mean they put signs up that says you're not allowed to do a U-turn. I think that's just to encourage people to
Do a U-turn.
do one right there in front of oncoming traffic. You know, everybody knows that has ever driven a vehicle. LA has probably the best quality driving in all of North America.
As someone from New Jersey, I could argue that with you, but I can appreciate your stance.
And that's why the insurance is so cheap over here.
Yeah, us too.
But in all seriousness, that like the turning circle is lousy, and I wish that they would have done something a bit more about it. It is what it is, and that's a big dislike, and I can't. Well, I'm not going to pony up the money to engineer out that.
The points you raised, I think a lot of us are on the same page with. I mean, certainly the reaction to that, the threads that involve the HVAC system are 50 million pages because everyone's dealing with different crap.
Yeah.
On the positive side, I just like it. Like, I know that sounds stupid. I like seeing it in my driveway. I think it's a great looking truck. I like the way it steers. I do. It's weird when I get into the Subaru because the steering then is so light. Like,
when you walk away and you park it up, do you look over your shoulder one last time before you leave?
yeah, of course.
Still.
Because I want to make yes, and I still park
still.
in the middle of nowhere so no one comes near me.
And so when you come back, somebody's immediately parked next to you.
I hate that.
All the time. I don't know why people do that.
Mind blowing. But I do. I like it. And hopefully the things I don't like, they can fix.
Okay. So my likes. I really like the fact that my wife hates driving it.
See?
This is literally, this is the silver lining on the cloud, because I was away sometime last year doing a work trip, and she'd used it, and she took it into the office and came back. And I think I mentioned to you this before, but I have the saddle leather, just so everybody knows. And I think it's beautiful and it's really, really nice. And it's one of the options. I'm so pleased that I tick that box. And I think it's going to be an option that already will go at some point. We've already seen the secondary battery get axed. And I think saddle leather would be a thing that's going to potentially get that in the future. That's no intel there. That's just me. Suppose
I am, not to cut you off, but I am with you, and I am so glad I spec that.
Yeah. But after this work trip, I come back and mine was then specced with what looked like barbecue sauce down one side of the steering wheel. So the let's say from the 9 o'clock to the 12 o'clock position was all crusty, and it looked and smelled like barbecue sauce. She denied knowing anything. I'm like, you rat bag, you took it to McDonald's and
did you
chicken nuggets driving this thing? Well, just gross. No, not for me. So I cleaned it off as best I could. So now I have 2-tone saddle leather. So I think what I'm just going to do is just give it a proper clean, and then I'll oil it up with some saddle oil.
Just put barbecue sauce on the outside.
And then clean it up.
And then clean it off, and then it'll match.
It's weird the color it's gone now, because it's getting back. Do you remember when you had an old leather watch and the strap would discolor, but then you got it wet in the little places and stuff like that? It looks a similar thing to that. And the reason I say it is because I've got an old watch that needs a new battery in front of me. Yeah, so saddle leather, definitely do not get barbecue sauce on it.
I don't like the black piano trim. Like, And
Yeah.
I thought about wrapping it, because if it wasn't black, then I totally would have went with khaki seat covers. But like to
Yeah.
me, that
You mean khaki?
yeah, khaki. So I'm not crazy about it. I'm not.
I'm not a lover. I really think that obviously it's like you've got to stop somewhere with the whole options thing, and because it gets more and more expensive. I wish that there would have been a body color option on that, because I think that would have looked great to bring in the exterior color of the car inside and have it basically, on the doors and then across the dash.
It's not a bad idea.
I think that would have been a cool thing, and I might get it wrapped like that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
There are companies that are doing the stick-on stuff.
like just like an overlay.
Yeah, and I saw one, well, on their photographs. I'm not seeing it in the flesh, and it was carbon fiber. And I know it sounds a bit chintzy and a bit boy racerish and stuff, but it actually suited this thing.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's sort of a matte finish rather than gloss.
Ah, okay. In that respect, I got it.
Yeah.
I see this. I think I think for Genesis, there's a commercial where they talk about, they're like, little black accents mean quality or something like that because of one of their models. And I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't work if you want to try to use earth tones. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
saddle leather is that wonderful reddish, or at least mine has a nice reddish tint to it.
Yeah, and each one's unique.
Right. And barbecue sauce aside, they're all going to change.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone's is going to be different. This is something that probably you're not familiar with because you didn't, grow up here, and I don't think your boys play baseball. But
I saw the commitment that was required as a parent, and I steered them towards water polo and tennis.
Yeah, you're way better
and
off.
golf. I'm like, no way. Baseball, it's 56 weeks a year.
Yep.
And you have to find the extra time somewhere.
Correct. But that being said,
So aggressive.
That being said, I say this to my players all the time, and I thought this since I was a little kid. Like, you could take 10 people into a store, and all 10 buy the same model glove, this brand, this model, and they all look exactly the same. And you grab your glove, and you go. And you all go on different teams, and you play ball for a year, and then you come back together, and you put those 10 gloves together, and they're going to look completely different. It's the most personalized piece of equipment, I think, in sports. It literally molds to your hand. It's yours. Like and so that's, I think, kind of the theory behind the saddle leather is that, because I think Sir Jim said somewhere along the line that it would take on its own patina and everybody's would be different.
That was Toby. Yeah, on one of the interviews.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
he specifically said that, and Jim, apparently that was something that he wanted in there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, steering wheel leather has gotten so thin.
And it's plasticized as well.
Yes, and that's why this feels really nice.
Well, it's raw leather. It's
actual leather.
It is. I know. I can tell you it's raw leather because mine's now two-tone.
Yeah. So, again, I'm with you. I think it was a really good decision. And on the other side of that, I know it's a big, I think you and I disagree on this, but I am equally glad I did not spec the Safari windows.
Oh, I was going to say I like them. Of course I like them. I was going to say unique, but it's not, because there's definitely one more vehicle that has a window set up like that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Made by Pagani.
Oh, what is it?
The Hoyera, or whatever the thing's called. It's got two windows, one above the passenger and one above the driver. Slightly more elongated. I'm sure that they don't pop out with a little plastic catch on that vehicle. But it'd be interesting to know if they leak. Anyway, that aside, so this shares sports car DNA.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And in the same thing, E39 M5 had the same steering system as this.
I've never heard that on an E39.
Not physically the same bits, but the same principle. Obviously, an independent front end.
Yeah, I know.
But the recirculating ball steering, it was good enough for what is still regarded as probably the height of BIMness in the BMW world. And BMW managed to dial it in, and it was sublime. And I had one, and I bitterly regret selling that vehicle. It was in Le Mans blue. and it used to sound like an aeroplane when we're on the Autobahn. But that is for another time and another story. How we know that.
Yes. We're in. So for the viewer or listener, because we don't know.
We have a fan.
Yeah, right. So
I
he was
think
identified.
I think he found the NATO socket, so he's come out of hiding now. And
Well-
and he's like, hey, come on, guys, get it together.
Well, part
it
of
together.
part of our reboot is to try to not get way off task like I do, because I would have just easily transferred that conversation to a thread that somebody put on asking about what other car would you like to see revived. It's a great thread.
Oh,
But we
Ooh.
won't go there. That's not on our
Ooh.
little to-do list today.
oh, I'm gonna have to think about that. Because
Unless you want to
ones.
know what I put on the thread. Do you want to know?
Go
So
on
I guess you didn't see it.
No.
Cheekily, as you might say, I put on a British Leyland Princess. That was the first thing I put on there.
The Austin Princess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Love to see
ew.
that. Yeah.
It's one of the few vehicles that it was more
horrible.
aerodynamic going backwards and
Yeah.
forwards.
So bad. And then for real, I found a picture of, I think it's 71, but Opel GT. Poor man's vet. Poor
Oh,
man's
pretty.
250. Pretty little car.
Pretty car.
Maybe I'll put it in the thread. On my desktop, I have a picture of one that was my dad's. There's a couple pictures from the 70s, and they're crappy pictures because they were with a Polaroid and it was the 70s, but they did like this
Did you
crazy.
shake it like a Polaroid
Yeah,
picture?
exactly. So they did this crazy paint job on it, and it's pretty cool. Like it was all custom.
Oh, I thought I was going to say that reminds me of the Golfs from the mid '80s, where you'd have a panel painted a different color.
Oh no, totally different design.
I
Totally
think, what do
different
you call it,
design.
the Harlequin or something?
Yeah. So
Dan would know.
so that's what I put on there.
You'd also know how many they made.
Well, yeah, he's our go-to guy for that stuff.
He's really good with that stuff.
Yeah, I know. So yeah. Anyway, so we're not going to go off task. We're going to stay on task.
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
if I was to submit a vehicle, they only made one, and it was called the Beast, and it's the one where they put a Spitfire engine in the chassis, and I sent you a video of it the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that we need more with the demise of the internal combustion engine approaching quicker than we would hope or realize. Although there's a bit of a U-turn, so that's going to be down the line. I watched I was going to say the Top Gear, but the Grand Tour episode last night on Amazon, where they was lamenting that. And I was sitting there, I was watching it, and I was drinking a Negroni, and the brain sort of wanders, and I'm like, we need more vehicles with aeroplane engines.
There's definitely not enough anymore.
No, and if you think about it, it's like there's not many traditional layout aeroplane engines. They sort of went to radials and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, they did. Was it Chrysler? Somebody made a turbine car in the 60s.
Oh, there's a turbine motorbike.
Yeah. So
Did you know there's one of those?
No, I know there was
I was in Monaco once when I was working. Anyway, I don't need to.
previous life.
But it was a previous life when I look back on it now. And I'm like, what is that noise? Where's this? And I thought it was a gas turbine boat that was coming in. We're having we're at Stars and Bars, which is the cafe, the American cafe in the harbour there, for anyone that knows. It's just around the corner from the Rascas. And it was a gas turbine motorbike. And this thing,
How is that even possible?
a gas turbine and a reduction gearbox and a very, very big fat back tire.
Yeah.
It was like nuts.
Jeez.
So this guy who came through, I'm sure he must have had special leathers and reinforcing because the exhaust was a bit hot.
I'd imagine.
Massive exhaust pipe, and he was coming down and he was just rolling it, and it was screaming away. And he did what he needed to do, his preps and all the rest of it, and then he just tore off on this thing. Like, what a fabulous night.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Gas turbine motorbike.
When it comes down to it, and I know this is definitely a North America and world sort of difference.
But just with that motorbike, just think of the power to weight ratio of that thing.
Oh my God, a million to one?
Nuts. It's like, I'll see your Busher and I'll raise you a GT.
Yeah.
Just gas turbine.
I just think that
For our
The-
American friends, turbine.
well, yeah, but that's the thing. So in the States, the burble of the small block V8 is
Mhm.
a wonderful sound. It's a common, or was a common sound. Still love it. I think it's great. I know the V8 isn't nearly as ubiquitous elsewhere in the world because, well, just gas prices and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but we've also got the thing of the huge displacement, woeful power output.
Yeah.
It's like, I will give you a 5-liter V8 and it'll have 120 horsepower.
No,
But it would last forever because it's so understressed.
well, prior to 1972, 1973, that wasn't the problem at all.
That's right.
Before all the emission stuff, you get a lot of power right out of the showroom floor. And then all the emission stuff came in, and I mean, what, the 84 Corvette had like 4 horsepower, I think. So
Okay. All right. I'm going to...
go on a sec. Go on a sec.
My vehicle, and this ties in with your point there about engines, because at the same time in the UK, a company called Jenson introduced something called the Interceptor.
Love them.
Best car name ever, and I will die on that hill. And
Beautiful.
that was a thing. I think it was the Chevy engine or Chrysler. Wait, doesn't really matter. Anyway, American engine inside that, and yeah, it was at the height of the oil crisis. It's one of the vehicles I really would like to get, and they're reasonably priced as well.
Why are they really?
Yeah, but it's that thing of they're getting on now, and there's a couple of companies that do the resta mod version. So I saw one; it's absolutely beautiful. But you're thinking, oh, do you want that? Do you want a house, or do you want to have that vehicle? And
Well-
I'm the person that would love to have the vehicle, but I have a family, so I have to go for the house.
Yeah, I hear you. I just pulled up some pictures of it. That really is a pretty car, but it's 70s British motoring, so I'd imagine
Yeah, well,
they have the same issues most of their other,
yeah, the Prince of Darkness was heavily involved. So
Yes.
you just, I mean, if you're gonna get one of those things, you just reloom it with
Yeah.
modern stuff, and just get rid of the Lucas gear. That's what people do.
Yeah. Well, that
Keep
would
the
make
8-track
sense.
then.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't want to go off astray. If you want me to, though, I will, because I have a good point to make. Actually, no, I'm going to make this point because it does connect to something that I think we were going to talk about anyway. But I
Yeah,
have-
the fabulous stereo in the Grenadier.
Well, yes. Well, but before we even get to that, I was having a discussion with my students, high school age kids, about their generation doesn't
So
have
just as high school, how old are you when you finish high school? Because
like 18. So
18.
the
All
kids
right.
I was talking to were 15, 16, 17.
okay, because it's different in
Yeah, it's
different
different.
countries.
Right. And I was talking to them about how they have been robbed generationally of the thrill of going to and buying physical music, going to a record store, going and shuffling through the racks.
And listening to it
And
and then getting it back.
yeah, and then coming home with an album that you only have heard 2 of the songs on. And so there's 10 or 12, whatever, totally new to your ear tracks.
Yeah.
They don't get that tangible. So I mean, it related to class because we were, some graphic design stuff. So I was talking about album covers, and that was the conversation. It's like, yeah, you still get some album art, but like the thrill of getting a brand new, cassette and CD was really. I didn't buy a lot of records because it sort of was fading out. And now it's coming back, which is awesome because it is wonderful.
I'm a big vinyl guy.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of hundred in the shelf behind me, and I've got one of those coffee table books, which is like the best, like 1,000 record covers of all time, and it really digs into how the artwork was done and who put it together, and because there was as much energy and effort that went into some of those, and sometimes there's more energy went into that than they did into recording the music.
Yeah. Yes,
Which
and it
blows my mind. That just shows you how gifted some artists are,
and
where they can
that's
bust
they're
out an
robbed
album
of.
in
Now,
a day.
yeah, and it's don't get me wrong. I love being able to look at my phone and go, oh wow, Green Day has a new album. Click, okay, now I have it. Like that's cool. It's convenient. But like waiting, like knowing that your favorite band's new album was dropping. We didn't use the word dropping, but it was coming out. And I don't know how it was in the UK.
They'd announce an album coming out, let's say June the 7th. That's when the embargo would be lifted and you'd be able to sell it, and it would be there at the front, and you had to go in and you had to get it before it sold out.
So when I was in college, what they would do, I want to say it was Tuesdays. I could be wrong, but there was one particular day of the week that was the release date. Like
Yeah.
albums always came out on Tuesday. And so there was a music shop, and on the eve of albums, so like on Monday nights, if a big album was coming out, there would be a party and they would be playing the album.
Yeah.
There'd
In
be
the record
DJs
store.
and food. And it was like this awesome sort of communal thing, because prior to that, everybody only heard 2 tracks. There was no YouTube. Like, it was exciting. It was thrilling to get a new piece of music. And my kids miss out on that. Our kids, all the young people do.
I'm going to say if they want to, they can, because it's there. You can still go to a vinyl shop and get that stuff. I was reading the other day that CDs are now retro and they're making a comeback.
Wow.
I showed a CD to my eldest. He's about to turn 9. He's like, "What's that thing? Is it one of the coaster for you to put your drink on?" I'm like, "No, there's data on here. There's music inside that thing somehow." And then a cassette tape. He just looked at that and, "What is this?" and just walked away.
Yeah, there's a couple things I've seen like on YouTube and on social media where they take young people and they show them old stuff. I'm like, "What is this?" And try to
a
get
telephone.
Yeah, like, what is this? So, but so let's weave that music into our truck. So yes, we agree the stereo is crap.
And have you done anything about it?
Well, not as much as you did.
I have. Mine,
So-
I now have a Grenadier with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 speakers.
I have 4, but they're all been replaced and are super duper now.
And yeah, so I picked up the eldest from school today, and he wound down the windows and then decided that he wanted to listen to some Madonna and turned it right the way up. So yeah, I don't really know what that says. And I was like, "Do you know what? Just you enjoy it, sunshine. You enjoy that."
Yeah. So I did the speakers.
And for anyone that wants to know, it was Hung Up on You.
Oh, that's a good song though.
It is. It is. I was reading about how much she paid ABBA for that little riff. It was a lot of money.
Yeah. Well,
A
that
lot
was
of money.
when that was all coming out. That was when the whole sampling chaos was starting
That's
to
right.
happen.
I mean, that track's
End of the 80s.
clipping on for 20 years now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, more than that.
Is it? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So I actually was just speaking with an aunt actually about putting an amp in.
Yeah.
Because it's just not loud. And I'm not like the other day, I'm a windows open kind of person until it gets crazy muggy out. And I couldn't even really hear.
Yeah, I've got a sub underneath the passenger seat. I've got the amp and whatever the box of tricks is that drives everything underneath the drivers. I thought about all the lost space, and do you know what? It's worth it. I mean, it's a tiny little spot anyway. We've actually got some of the bags here, and it's like I've got space elsewhere for that.
Yeah. Well,
So I had those. Then there's a couple of little tweeters in the A-pillars, and then there's a central speaker above your head on the actual on the switch console there, in way of the like talkback system. So in different markets, you've got the whole like the OnStar thing where you push the button and you speak to it. I've run out of fuel. Can you please help me?
wait,
It's 200 yards to the gas station. I'm too lazy to walk. So we don't have anything there because of where we are. So there's a speaker in there, and that raises the just the entire audio around you. So it's a bit more immersive. It's quite good. But to get the most out of it, you got to crank it up.
Yeah.
And Madonna was cranking today, and it sounded like she was singing straight at us. Concert for 2.
I don't know if I could just. I mean, I guess I could justify it, but I just don't have the kind of money to really dump. Like some of those audio systems, $5, $6, $7, $8 grand. I just don't have that kind of laying around.
I worked with Royce Audio in Orange, and they reached out and said, "Hey, we're trying to get a sample Grenadier to get our templates and everything." So I took mine down, and I got the stuff at cost price or cost plus a little bit. And then they did the install for free. So they've got the samples now, and they've got, I think they've got like 3 different specs of audio set up for the Grenadier. And I mean, the one that I got was like the middle one, and it's plenty enough for me with my hearing that's been damaged. in certain frequency ranges through working with big engines and gas turbines for 25 years.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that, you know, adding an amp will kind of cure all that stuff. And you know what's funny? Interestingly enough, I mean, I've really sort of gotten hooked on. I have gotten hooked on podcasts, so that's what I listen to a lot of the time.
Oh, don't tell me you listen to yourself when you're driving around.
No,
Well, that would be so self-indulgent.
No. I have there's
It's
a
like
couple.
Krabby Musk anyway.
Yeah, I have. I'm at. I don't. We might as well. I mean, I have no connection to any of them, but I really enjoy. I listen to the Chris Harris podcast.
Yeah, that's so organic.
Which is really good. It's kind of our concept of it's just a couple people talking. It's not very polished. It's just guys talking about cars.
And those guys, when they did the Grenadier review, I mean, they were brutally honest about the good and the bad things. The one that I remember is it's for anybody that's watched Doctor Who, or if you're British, you know exactly what I'm going to say. It's a TARDIS. So it looks massive on the outside, or reverse TARDIS, I'll say. It's massive on the outside. You get in, it's like, how did they do so little with that much available space?
Yeah.
It's like, that should be an automotive award.
Yeah.
You know, next to
it's like
the panel gaps and all the rest, which Lexus, you know, consistently wins. But I tell you what, park up next to a Cybertruck, we got better panel gaps on those things.
That's fighting.
I saw a British Racing green one today when I was on the way to school. It was a wrap, obviously, because they're stainless. Well, I'm assuming they didn't paint it. And it was matte British Racing green. It really suited that thing.
Yeah, that's because it camouflaged it, so it's harder to see.
That's right. It was parked next to a tree.
Yeah.
So it did break up the lines quite a bit.
It was great.
Yeah.
So.
Only panel gaps a mother could learn.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. As we're wrapping up talking about the stereos, but one of the things we had wanted to talk about, and then it got lost in the shuffle, was the first song you played. Like when you got your truck, you figured out how to do everything. You're leaving the dealer, or it's the next morning. What did you put on? What did you like?
Okay.
Did you specifically play a particular track, or you just flipped it on and say, let's get what we get?
I've got strong opinions about this. And as obviously we've spoken before, and to set up your 10-year own in a vehicle, I'm going to start it off with the perfect song for that vehicle. And then this is just me being weird and possibly mildly eccentric Brit. And then emotionally, it's like that's, you know, we set the tone. It's like the music that you play in a sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not going to put in some chamber music or some opera or something like that. You're going to get the crowd going and all the rest of it to get them into it. The track, I sat down long and hard and sat there and I'm like, what can this be? What can this be? And then I settled on an Aerosmith track.
Ooh.
Called Dream On.
Very nice.
But not the version that everybody knows.
Oh.
It's the 1971 demo version.
Oh, okay. Is it
possibly never ever heard it? It's raw.
Yeah.
Unfinished, unpolished, get straight to the point. And it's like, this band is going to be great. That's what that track brings to me. And that's what I wanted to infuse the Grenadier with. It's like, hello, come on, Blue. This is how it's going to be. However, and I'm going to follow up. What happened was either wife or child got into my Apple Music and I didn't look at the track that was the next one that was lined up because it took a long time to do all the paperwork to pick up my vehicle. Let me just say that. And my son and wife were messing around. Yeah, it took me way too long. And basically we started up. Taylor Swift came on and I was apoplectic.
Well, I was conversing with some students and I'm like, they're like, what do you listen to? I'm like, well, basically, with the exception of Green Day, Bruce Springsteen.
Well, Green Day are old men now.
Well, I know. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't own any music that came out after 2000, except for the albums that came from those two people. That's, you know, all my music is older.
Yeah, I like my electronica as well. And it's,
you know,
yeah, driving back from MOAB in one stint, I got in at 2 a.m. and I had to have that to keep the show on the road.
All right. Well, look, again, this is actually working for once. The things we're talking about are naturally segueing into the other things. MOAB, I couldn't go.
I know. We tried every which way.
I know.
I was speaking to Mrs. Krabby and I'm like, how do we get this guy on a plane?
Yeah.
Come on.
Couldn't make it work. And it'll probably be like that for anything that happens between September and June. But that being said,
you just need to get a job that doesn't involve teaching.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on it. So tell me all about it. I mean, you know, I saw pictures on the forum and read a couple stories here and there about the forum. But
really nice to see some old friends. I say old friends, I mean people that you've met through this community and that have come together because of this community. See some of the vendors, to talk to them and go, what are you working on? It's so cool. And this is where I'm going to give like Owl a shout out, because those guys took the advice, which was, hey, the marketplace isn't saturated yet. Make a load of stuff and just see what works. And from those ideas will come other things, and it will just generate from there. And John's gone with it and he ran with it. They've come up with some stuff that's fabulous, and some I'm like, not for me, but well done. Kudos to those guys. There were a couple of vendors that sponsored stuff and didn't even bother to turn up. So, I mean, I don't know what that would say about their commitment, and with no explanation, just a no-show. It was obviously good to catch up with the good folks from INEOS, and to pick their brains on a couple of things. And we were hoping that Gregor would announce the ADAS update at his little speech that evening, but he did not. I've not even talked about the driving yet.
Well, yeah, but I was actually going to bounce back to the keynote speech. You called me on the way home from that event, and told me how in his lead he basically attacked people who like Land Rover Defenders.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God,
Greg,
you just said that.
Of the people on our forum.
And it's the guy that owns the company, built this vehicle because of the Defender.
Right.
Without that, you would not have a job. Correct. I'm just going to put that to maybe AI assistants or just
ChatGPT.
Possibly. Just a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but it's like, yeah, a lot of the people there wanted a Defender. This was better or cheaper.
Cheaper in America.
More attainable. And that's
we're talking... This conversation revolves around proper Defenders. We're not talking new Defender, DC 100.
So in Gregor's defense, maybe he was referring to the new Defender.
Yeah, maybe he was.
And I'll stand up for him and say that's what I'm going to assume. But he didn't quantify it. So
yeah, I heard it didn't go down well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's there on the internet. People were recording it.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you know, this has come up before. I'm a Land Rover nerd, so I wouldn't take offense to it, but like know your audience.
I'm gonna say he was referring to the new Defender. Just back to the MOAB thing and close out. Hopefully we'll be able to get a session where we get Mike on and really chat about this, because it's going to be special and really important for the annual calendar for this brand. That was very apparent.
Yeah.
The trail leaders all donated their own time. Some were out there for 2 weeks. They got obviously professional training from the team that was there to be able to do this, which is great. But they were out there driving trails, scouting, reconnoitering. The amount of effort that they put in and enthusiasm that these guys bring to the table is fabulous. But to drive in MOAB, it was the most bizarre place, because every time you go around the corner, I feel like I'm on a different movie set. So it's like you can have something that looks literally like I'm in Lord of the Rings in Mordor, and then you go around the corner and it's like, my gosh, this is High Chaparral. It's just so nuts in that respect. It changes, like super clips through it and everything, and it's obviously beautiful and stunning and all that stuff. And on the Sunday, we took the opportunity to drive through one of the national parks. It was it Monument Valley, I think it was called. Really, really pretty. And that was with myself, Anand, and one of the INEOS guys that was driving the cartoon truck.
Oh, which I
It's a cartoon
How
track.
crazy is it?
It's so fun.
It's so crazy.
We need electric sliders on that one that you actually stand on to get in, because it was so tall. But chatting to the INEOS guys, and they took it out on a couple of the trails, and they're like, it's ridiculous in the fact that you just drive straight over the top of something, and you don't have to apply any skill whatsoever. Obviously, you'll reach the point where you have to, but you know that this off-road driving thing, which, do you know what? I'm going to say it's a sport because you get better at it and you apply yourself to it, and how you do your thing. It's like golf. You're playing against yourself, right? Even though I don't particularly like golf. But anyway, it just made it too easy. It was just ridiculous. Like, it literally like Stone Crusher just coming through and just go, all right, there. Come on, lads, just follow me. It'll be all right.
I'll be honest, I have zero experience with portal axles. Like, I've never been in a truck with one. I've never really been around one that had them.
The thing for me is I'm assuming the straight cut gears, and I'm like, that's got to be noisy. I don't know if they do some micro finishing or that type of thing. I don't know. Didn't dig into it. But I drove around behind that thing for way longer than I should have, and it was pretty quiet on the road. Speaking to the INEOS guys, it was the technical team in the Americas that actually built that vehicle. It came, they got a normal quartermaster, and the bits arrived on the plane. And they just did it. And they did it for the Colorado event. And they were saying that they were surprised at how little it diminished the fuel economy, which would be the big thing for me. It's like, what's the hit on this? And it wasn't much. It's like 1 or 2 miles per gallon. That's it.
Yeah, which for me, that's like 15%.
Yeah, I was expecting more.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I'm like, I'm really surprised. I thought it would have been much more than that. And the other thing that they were saying is with how the suspension's set up, I mean, they were throwing it around those roads in Colorado, and it handled as well as the Grenadier, as in you could go around the corner at the same speed and still feel safe, and you weren't pushing it too far in the vehicle and that type of thing, which again just goes to show that it's super dialed in. They did intimate that you'll be able to buy one through INEOS. So you could go to your local dealer and get a LeTech INEOS Grenadier
for a lot of money.
Yeah, the bits, I think the bits come in at
20
70.
grand, right?
70.
20.
Okay. I'll have that. No, 70. And then you got the install, which, depending on which dealer you go to, if you go to one of the Southern California dealers, it's 30% more than one of the other Southern California dealers. So, and a little bit messy. Anyway,
let's not go there.
I'm not going to go there because I need to go and speak to them again soon about.
Well, literally not going there.
The unbiased review.
All right, so MOAB was good.
If you can do it, do it. I mean, Tony from Warner's was there with his squad. Those guys were working until 2 and 3 in the morning every day fixing people's vehicles. You bend things, you catch stuff.
Right.
They were doing 12,000 mile oil changes for people and service intervals. They brought all the gear. They brought a full fat mobile, literally pits. And I'm like, that level of support is brilliant. So if you're in the area, I'm giving them a shout out because they're really great guys. The mechanics were really, really nice.
I've heard good things.
Yeah.
It's, again, I read the forum and
they're into it. It's not just a mechanic that does his job because that's what he's paid to do and X, Y, and Z. They are like, they're into it.
Yeah. And then that was, and talking with Greg all those year and a half ago or whatever, but that was the goal in their dealer partners.
Yes.
They certainly missed more shots than they scored, but it's good to know that they did put a couple past the old goalkeeper, that there are some dealers that are going above and beyond for the mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And those guys deserve a shout out. And, there's a dealer recognition awards and all that stuff, which, we started last year. We're collaborating with INEOS on that, and you can fill out your appraisal form. And then it gets sent to those guys that actually handle that. And, when there's been good service, it deserves to be given a shout out because it's just how human nature, you complain more about stuff you're not happy about than stuff that you are happy about. And sometimes that just takes all the air out of the room. And you know what? If someone's done well, give them a pat on the back and say so.
Yeah.
And then for the ones that aren't doing so well, They obviously want to because it's a business and you get more business when you do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's like, oh, well, this brand, this is the style that you need to approach it with. I hope it rolls out like that.
I guess from big auto executives, because I never really have sort of read up on it, but that the franchise is the face of the company, but the company has no control over the franchise. So when you have a crappy dealer, you naturally are mad at INEOS, even though it's not their fault.
That's right.
Because it's a locally owned franchise.
And it's super hard to strip the franchise from them once they get awarded it.
All contracts and
It's like being stuck in a really terrible marriage.
Yeah.
When they won't sign the papers.
Yeah. So I get it. I get it that the good ones deserve a shout out. I totally get that.
100%.
I haven't met, I think two.
Don't say you haven't met a good dealer.
No.
I'm like, that's a low blow.
I have not yet interacted with the New Jersey one that opened. It's about halfway closer than the Pennsylvania one that I got my truck from.
And we're going to talk about New Jersey in a couple of minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, again, God, look at these natural segues. Speaking of New Jersey.
That's right.
Big news as it relates to INEOS Automotive Americas, because they have moved house, as you British would say, and they have relocated their headquarters to the Garden State from, what's North Carolina? The Tar Heel State? Is that what they are? Or First in Flight, or whatever they were.
You're asking the wrong guy.
They're not in
genuinely the wrong man here.
They're not in North Carolina anymore, and they are in New Jersey.
Have you been down yet?
Well, it's up. It's a good hour 45, maybe 2-hour drive from me to the town that the headquarters is.
Some people have to drive further than that to go to a dealer.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying. So I haven't just popped in.
So what you need to do is to drive up there and wait for Gregor to turn up. And I'm hoping he's not driving a Polestar still. And go, excuse me, can I have a new sticker for my loading?
Yeah, it's
cool.
totally
Very sweet sticker.
Yeah. Because when I get pulled over and they ask to see my gross weight sticker, that says my max load capacity is 600 pounds, that could be a bit of a problem. So, no, what if I just went in the parking lot on low fuel and they would just come out when they heard the bong?
After it shattered the windows.
What was that noise? What was that? No, I'm really, besides the fact that they're in New Jersey, I don't know anything. I'm curious about the building that they're in, or the buildings, or I know they're in like a very sort of automotive swankiness.
Oh, is it posh?
Yeah, that's the word you could use.
Maybe they're just being contrarian. And they're gonna ship in a load of dirt and just have that in the car park. So everybody's going to drive through the mud to go through to work.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be the janitor there. Can you imagine the poor cleaner at night having to clean that up?
So it'll be interesting to see how it develops. It's only been, I think they're still kind of probably unpacking boxes, so it hasn't been very long. But the fact that they've relocated is an interesting thing. It obviously puts them physically closer to New York City.
Yeah.
If upscale really is maybe in their future, then I guess that is a smart move. If that played into, I don't know.
Does it really matter? I don't know.
A lot of car companies are headquartered in New Jersey, so there must be some.
They want it to be close to you.
Well, hey, who wouldn't?
That's it. It's like that guy. That's what you should do. You should sample the fuel bong and have that as your alarm to wake up in the morning. I was going to say, potentially it is that loud that from your house they can hear it. Just it's the edge of audible range.
Yeah.
When they're walking into the office an hour
if it's
and a
really
half away.
quiet on a calm, still night,
and the wind's got to be blowing the right way.
Yeah.
To help you out.
Yeah, you could definitely hear it though. It's a very angry bong.
It's authoritative.
Yeah. We have to remember, it's such a international vehicle. You know what I mean? So like, there's British parts, French parts, German parts, Chinese parts from Ukraine, everywhere.
Yeah.
So it, part of its personality is part of the personality of some of the countries where those things come from.
And we'll draw it to a close right there. As Krabby's just established, the Grenadier is made up of many, many parts from many, many countries. This session was a little bit longer than we planned, so we're going to release it in 2 parts. The part that you've just listened to will be part 1, and then part 1.5, or however you want to call it, will be released shortly. This is Grenadier Works, signing out.